In 2008, Nathan and Brandye Conley were at the top of their game. They had qualified to race at X Games and just had the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb in their way when everything changed and their X Games dreams vanished.
It was a different day. The conditions were insane. It was really hot. There was a lot of red flags before we even went, so it was hard to get in a groove, but I wasn't worried about anything for Nate and I. We had great practices. The green flag dropped and we were going, and then next thing I knew, Nate kind of just told me to hold on, and we hit a tree. And from my perspective, I didn't really know exactly what was going on because I wasn't looking out the window.
That's one of those memories you're never going to forget. I mean, it goes from the worst day of your life, thinking that you paralyzed your wife, and just the recovery process, you're just thinking my wife might not even walk again.
I had shattered my vertebrae, and they had to do emergency surgery because it was pushing against my spinal cord.
When they left the hospital, they never knew if they'd race again. They decided to take a year off and start a family. After that, they had a new perspective on life and racing and decided to give it another shot.
9 months down the road, we have a kid, and then we're back in the car racing again a year after that. The first race when I got back in the car was a local hill climb that I wanted to get a couple races under my belt before Brandye got back in the car, and then I ended up winning the first one. And then the next one was a national rally, and we got third overall against Pastrana and all the big names. So I was like, well, heck, we're doing pretty good. And then Brandye gets back in the car, and then we just had mechanical failure. So we go from being a top competitor to like top 20. And it was just, that's where we just pulled the plug last year, saying it's just not worth our time. Just enjoy being mom and dad and be the typical family. And that was probably the best time we ever had, is just being mom and dad.
Yes, we wanted to enjoy being a family. I was done as a co-driver. Nate didn't want to bring in another co-driver, so we found this Global Rallycross series. We had heard about it, and we didn't really know what to think about it, and then it came here in our own backyard in Fountain, and Nate was like, there's no way I can't do this.
Same way, I just wanted to let Bullet fly.
And did he ever let it fly? In the main event, Nate hit the 80-foot jump every lap just for fun.
The coolest part for us is knowing that there's a series based on X Games. So I had the big 70-foot gap jump, and almost like a motocross with a cage. So it was kind of cool seeing that there was going to be one in our backyard. So I decided, well, let's take the car down to Revolutions, get it prepped, and just put a small budget into it just to see how bad we're going to get our butts kicked. And end up being, we go out there and get top 5, and it's the most elite drivers there is.
That finish at Pikes Peak International Raceway was enough for them to get invited back to LA for the Summer X Games.
It was extremely exciting. We were, it was kind of like we were in disbelief, because in literally 1 month's time, we went from we're never going to race again to, okay, let's give this race here in Fountain a shot. Let's just go have fun and see how it goes, to doing extremely well and getting to go back to X Games. So it was kind of, disbelief, and then sheer excitement, and then, oh my gosh, we have so much to do in it was like 6 weeks. So we're just so excited, and we just can't thank everybody enough who's helped us get here.
I was just thinking that we get to rub paint with some of the nicest cars and biggest names in the sport, and to think that we get to be considered in that category, it's just a totally different feeling alone. So it makes you feel like a rock star in a way.
No matter how Nate finishes at the X Games, just getting there is a victory for Brandye and himself. Reporting for KKTV 11 News Sports, Mitch Snow.